So Centoya Brown, anybody remember her? I'm trying to think who. I think it was Rihanna that called her out. Not called her out, not in a way like that, but you know, even celebrities help with headline. Your own when you're forced to serve 51 years. That's a long time. I'll more than likely be dead by the time she get out. This Miss Brown. Like, subscribe, ID in the Discovery Channel. Yes, ID in the Discovery Channel. The links are provided below. Get that Discovery Go app as well as that ID Go app. You might want to get those two things, combine them, make them into one. So yeah, so teen prostitution and murder despite her being in her 30s. Now, to spend 51 years in prison for murder and teen prostitution. Celebrities, yeah, they a lot of times like to jump on bandwagons. Not all of them. That's a profit on their own end for those that don't know. They like to be seen in the limelight, right? And not everybody does, right? And yet to help move a case forward too, sometimes is why celebrities hop on and jump on. That's public relations as well, right? Making sure that the public don't forget that these sort of things go unseen, because even if a celebrity hops on and say, well, you know, there's Miss Brown, let me see if I can make something of this, right? It's so that the everyday public don't see that this sort of situations happen, because the justice system can be crooked, but two, people that kill people can be crooked, right? There's all type of angles to the box is what I'm trying to say. 51 years. Teen prostitution is to ask, well, how did you get into teen prostitution? Some people can be bribed into that sort of thing, forced into that sort of thing. It's all type of ways of means how people fall into the hands of prostitution. Some people don't have the best home life, and then you have older males that come and prey on you, seeing you a victim, and yet you're not one to begin with, and yet you're on the way, right, to becoming one. Right. There's ways ending up in prostitution. Many of us in society, American society, have either had relatives that fell into that sort of thing. Prostitution, right? Not everybody can foot bills or have funds to take care of themselves or even their children or whatever else, right? But yeah, 30-year-old Brown. Let me just call her Brown because her name is 30-year-old Brown of Tennessee, who has been in prison since she was 18 over murdering a man who solicited her for sex, will stay behind bars for once again the estimation of 51 years. And that's been issued by State Supreme Court. The decision was made in relation to 2004. Where Brown was involved in the shooting of a real estate agent, Johnny Mitchell Allen, age 43. I'm sure many of you guys heard of Miss Brown's story, right? Not everybody has. It helps to be sometimes late in life with that, as in people that find out about stuff later on as it's happening, as in you being, not the person that's finding out, but say whoever's being services, say, well, now you get to see the guilt as a standing there to now make sense of what has happened after a judge done through the book or whatever else, right? So Brown claims she was forced to be an underage prostitute. Yes, by a then boyfriend who would take the money she made. He would take the money. What pimp wouldn't? I thought pimps do that sort of thing, right? And yet despite her being a teenager once upon a time, right, and yet this ain't no fairy tale, she claims she shot Allen, the real estate agent boyfriend, in self-defense back in 2004 after he picked her up. She claims to shoot him because she saw him reach for a gun while they were in the bed together. Okay, so what happens next? Let me pause. I'm just saying because there's always something left out or missing or something. That's funny, and yet that's not either. Cause I'll be laughing, cause I'll be thinking, okay, well, that's not all the way. Yeah, something is not. It always, it's like you're always left to fill in the gaps, and your mind can go every which way thinking about, well, why would she shoot him? Did she get tired of being there and say she wanted to leave, right? But that's somewhat slightly recognized, right? And yet pimps are known to beat on their hoes, right? It's just something more. To leave out of a situation is to say, well, I'm stuck. Or could be, because I'm a hoe and he's a pimp, right? And I'm underage, and yet how am I going to fight my way out of this situation without literally fighting? I wonder what was said between, yes. I was going to say Court of Appeals. No, not that. But what all was said in termination, not that either, in front of the judge, with even her story. You want to make sure you have everything there. It ain't going to be completely out on the TV screen. No, but to put up a fight is to question. Why are you reaching for a gun? Because, see, some pimps have been known to beat their prostitutes or hoes, whatever they choose to call them, till they're blind in the face. I've known some personally where even grown men who have had prostitutes will beat their women and give them two black eyes, right? At once. That's tragic in itself. That's why a hoe or a prostitute would want to leave. There's something more, I don't know. So the jury didn't go for her story. The self-defense of what I'm speaking on before I got carried on about where she said she shot him out of self-defense back in 2004, right? The jury didn't go for her story. As in they failed to believe her, feeling that it wasn't self-defense, right? Prosecutors felt that her intentions instead were to rob Allen. And of course, in court, she was convicted as an adult, right? There's so many directions in which, prostitutes are known to rob their pimps or whatever, right? Yes, that's in fact truth factual, right? Because as I said before, he was known to take money from her, take it out of her hands, and yet what pimp doesn't do that, right? So maybe she is completely guilty, probably all the way guilty, right? And yet there's still beatings in that. You do have women that's prostitutes, set up situations to say, kill the pimp or what, right? I'm thinking if that was me, you never know which direction life is going to take you in, right? You just don't. So don't be the first to cast the first stone, as it's been said, right? But yeah, I don't know. You see, I'm able to look all over this thing for what it is and possibly was. Was at any time was this man hitting her in the face or any of that, right? It comes a time and a place and a point position, not for all prostitutes to want to walk away, is all I'm trying to say, right? I don't know. So yeah, here in 2018, once again, Brown is now 30 years old. I said that in the opening, right? Okay, so she fought for her side by saying her lifelong prison sentence is in fact unconstitutional by ways of a 2012 U.S. Supreme Court ruling, which states that juveniles could not receive mandatory life sentences without parole. She feels that her life sentence is unconstitutional based upon the 2012 U.S. Supreme Court ruling. Appeal ended in being, yes, the appeal ended in being rejected, in which led to Brown stating she felt all was cruel. Yes, cruel and unusual. Gosh, I could have never been an attorney, and yet I like law and all the rest, right? Law and Order is, in fact, I won't say it's a knockoff or even shallow or none of that, but I always love Law and Order, right? And attorneys I'm drawn to, right? Cases and stuff like that, right? But to look at a case at all angles and perspectives, despite being one person, and then to meet a judge and jury, is to say, man, hands will be completely tied up, and that is what I'm trying to say. Because, see, a guilty party will always say that they feel that all is unconstitutional, as well as them being forced to serve a life sentence. They will feel that that's cruel and unusual. What guilty party wouldn't? And yet, when I think about it, I consider the day-to-day affairs. The day-to-day affairs which could have occurred, even tragically, between that man and that teen. As in what's been missed out, and I keep repeating that. What leads up to situations, right? There's a day-to-day affair which you in fact skip when you're looking at cases. Well, maybe this happened and maybe that happened. Maybe something formulated her mind into wanting to kill or something. People don't think like I do, which could be why they fear me sometimes. Fear me because I overanalyze things. Well, every day of the week is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday up until Saturday. Once again, bouncing back to Sunday. And yet, how long was this teen in the hands of prostituting up under that man? And what was a day to day, every single day, hour to hour, and possibly even middle of the night while she was out on a corner and getting in and out of cars for him? And not only that, what was he saying to her, even looking in her eyes, or possibly while she looked away or whatever? What all was an interaction between those two individuals? Even that's got to be called out, because that changes a mindset as well. That makes an obedient prostitute, and sometimes disobedient prostitute, depending on what type of man you have, right? That just needed to be clarified. So second appeal, the whole second appeal will be considered, right? And I'm thinking the due date for all that has expired, right? But let's go back, because to write something before, right, and then have it come up, approach later, right? Second appeal will be considered. The Tennessee Supreme Court might weigh in on if Brown could be issued parole, yes, for conviction of murder. She is serving 51 years. That just is like what it is. What would be the mindset of some of these judges working these cases? Did I just revert back again or repeat again? I can never be a judge. Never be a judge. We'd be standing here all day. Be trying to work around a few trees with no weed involved, no marijuana or nothing, being a judge, trying to gain a perspective of what. So state Supreme agreed. Let me go back. State Supreme agreed to Brown under Tennessee law that she can only be eligible for early release after serving 51 years of the sentence she received. And she will be 69 years old. 69 years old. To go from hell and enter a jail cell, which is now hell. To be a teen prostitute is to know that there was hell there. And then go to a jail cell, forced to serve almost life, in the sense is hell once again. Damn. The hell you can't seem to escape being a human. So 60 years, is a life sentence determined under state law. And yet it said the 60-year sentence can be reduced up to 15%. Who does that? Let me pause. I hate when people call my phone and then they keep calling after they done called five or six times and yet I didn't answer. So 60 years is a life sentence. Yes, determinant under state law. I said that right. And yet it said the 60-year sentence can be reduced up to 15%, which is around 9 years. There's a cutoff rate, right? And that's for good behavior and participation in educational vocational training. And the Tennessee Supreme Court decided that one. Man. 51 years. The more I think about it, the more I think about 51 years, I'm sitting here aging thinking about it. So Brown's case has been featured in a 2011 PBS documentary. Yes, it has. When I spoke in the opening about Rihanna or Kim Kardashian or whoever hit the playground with that, as in they spoke on her case and all the rest. Other people did too, PBS to be exact, right? So May 2018, Brown made an appearance before the Tennessee Board of Parole for a clemency hearing. The decision to allow freedom for Brown lies within the hands of Tennessee Governor Bill Haslam. I'm saying his last name off court with that, right? As in my pronunciation can be off. I'm hood. So she in fact will be serving that 51 years. That just, yeah, it has to happen, and yet that's just so sad in itself. Tell me, viewer, what do you think about her case? What do you think about teen prostitution? I was going to say leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know, who do you know that done practice teen prostitution? Have you yourself? And yet some people are in fact embarrassed by those sort of things. And yet what's to be embarrassed by? I'm saying we living as human beings, living real life. I live real life. I don't live this fake, fickle, whatever else people be wanting to put up. Oh, well, I would have never did that or never considered. Well, if real life slap you in the face and you ain't got no funds, as I say, you never know what you could possibly do. There's people doing things that they said they never would do. And I said that even before about my own self. I said, well, I would never do this and I would never do that. And yet I did it. It wasn't teen prostitution, and yet it was other things, right? Helps to be real. So, recommended for you, yeah, leave a comment in the comment section. We're on investigationdiscovery.com, right? ID logo sits up in the far left corner. It sits right here. Live now, People Magazine investigates. Recommended for you, body cam. The description is right here. You can, in fact, click the plus to add the favorites, right? Shouts out to Lieutenant Joe Kenda. Each one of these hold a description. That's a very interesting thing. Let me tell you, some of the things us human beings in life do and yet may or may not have considered doing, right? You don't never know as life goes on what you may or may not do. That's one of those things I haven't considered, right? I'm saying, and as a teen prostitution, right? And yet once again you do encounter people that as a teen have did all type of things, right? You just don't know. Unlike episodes, Deadly Legacy season 1, episode 1. I'm getting ahead of myself in the wording. Helps it stop with that. Click the play button for audio visual preview. Add to watch later is to click the plus. Each one of these has a description for you. Audio visual format, I'm saying, once you click play. That's the thing. On verbatim, right? On last night, to gain access to is to click right here where it's locked. Provide your provider. Add to watch later is to click the plus sign. I guess I should speed up, or maybe not. I don't know. Unlock series, saying ID Go original series, the same. You can in fact come back to this if you choose to, and go through these and check it out for yourself. Crime Feed News, to click within here, yes, be directed on the outside to crimefeed.com. To receive a newsletter, to type your email address in the box and click next. And you would in fact receive a newsletter from Investigation Discovery. So I think that's all to be said for now. It actually is. It totally is. I done outdrafted my time. And I'm gone.